bro. It's your boy, you got a lot of guns, AK, got a lot of kicks back again with another smack video for y'all today. And today, yes, I'm back with another reaction video. Just put out one recently, but they took it down. I'm probably doing a little bit too much cussing in there, but anyways, hope everybody doing good. You feel me? We're going to move straight into the video. This video today is going to be a little more, how can I say, teaching lesson, whatever you want to call it. You feel me? About what to do to get shot and how to survive gunshot. I'm sure they're going to give us a whole bunch of statistics on how to help, save, and prevent death from a gunshot wound. Yeah. I ain't waste y'all time. Let's get into it, bro. See what they got, y'all.
You're at the gun range with your friend, enjoying some target practice after a busy week. While retrieving the target, your friend accidentally points the gun in your direction. Bad news, the gun wasn't empty. You've been shot, and you need to get help right away, or you will die. Here's...
People don't realize how much these things happen. They happen a lot. Even with people who are well-trained, are very safe. You know, accidents happen, so... Save first, bro. Save your limb in life. Yeah.
How to survive a bullet wound. Gun-related deaths and injuries occur around the world every day. In the United States alone, there are more than 100 gun-related deaths daily, and 200 more people are shot and wounded.
I told you, how much was that? That was a big number.
And wounded. The amount of more people are shot and wounded daily, and 200 more people are shot and wounded.
My bad.
More than 100 gun-related deaths.
More than 100 gun-related deaths daily. And all of those aren't just somebody running up and bulletting somebody. Accidents.
Daily, and 200 more people are shot and wounded.
200 more people are shot and wounded.
The amount of damage a bullet can do to a human is devastating.
Yes, it is. Damn!
A 14-year-old boy was shot in the abdomen. While the wound didn't look life-threatening from the outside, the bullet changed course inside the boy's body. It tore through his intestines, pancreas, spleen, stomach, diaphragm, and a lung before...
See, a lot of people think just because it's through and through that the wound will be okay, but no, a lot of times, especially depending on the type of rounds you got hit with, they do all types of stuff in the inside of you, man. They mess you up internally and jack you up, and that's how a lot of people don't make it, or either are colostomy bagged or whatever it may be. You know, have to cut off some of their stomach, blah blah blah, because they go through there. They cause a. They'll probably get into it because I'm sure they're gonna talk about it. Your skin absorbs the force of that bullet, you know, when it first hits you, but then that force has to go somewhere. So when it goes through you, it creates this cavity. And I want to use blowback. They'll probably make it a lot more logical and sound better or whatever. But the blowback from that wound being blown through is going to have some type of, you know, the cave-in necessarily from that is oftentimes bad. And especially if you have like hollow tips where you got stuff flying everywhere inside the cavity, you're talking about multiple organs, you know, multiple organs that, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to get at. I always lose my words once I get on here with y'all, and I'm very articulate. I don't know why I do that, but yeah.
Or planting itself in the boy's spine. Thankfully, after 4 hours of surgery and a couple of follow-up visits, the boy survived. It's estimated that you'll have an 80 to 90% chance of survival if you're shot in a non-fatal area. But not everyone will be as
80% survival for a non-fatal area, but I'm pretty sure they're going to say not everyone will be so lucky, because though certain factors will weigh into that.
Fortunate as that 14-year-old boy. If you survive, you could end up with serious life-changing injuries. Some of the damage is due to the bullet piercing your body, but the bullet's momentum can be deadly. Bullets come in different shapes and sizes, and each bullet has different characteristics of energy transfer. A 9mm bullet, which is usually used by law enforcement officers, can travel up to 1,450 kilometers per hour and hit you with the force of about 470 joules. If we go up a few sizes, the 5.56mm rifle round is often used in assault rifles like the AR-15 and the M4. It travels at a speed of 3,300 kilometers per hour. When it hits its target,
you see what it did. That's one bullet, and you see the after effect. The bullet already done passed through that motherfucker, but the force is fucking up that cavity. Got them, man.
delivers a whopping 1,760 joules of energy. That's more than 4 times the energy of a 9mm bullet. If you get hit with all that energy, your skin will absorb it, but then the energy has to be transferred somewhere. The bullet's entrance hole will form a large cavity, and then it will fall back on itself. The trauma from this impact alone could cause serious damage. So if you've been shot or see someone get shot, what's the next step to help them survive? Step 1. Stop the bleeding. The first and most important step is to try and stop the bleeding. Put pressure on the wound using whatever you have available, like a shirt or bandages. A former Green Beret, Connor Narcisco, says that of all preventable deaths that occur on the battlefield, 90% of them are due to blood loss. So keep as much blood in your body.
That's a high number, so make sure you get pressure on that wound to if you can't stop, to at least try to slow the bleeding down. Because you heard that 90% of those people on the battlefield lost their life, not because of the actual wound, but because of blood loss. So that's why that's number one. Good to know.
As possible. Step 2. Look for an exit wound. After putting pressure on the entry wound, look for an exit wound. If there is one, there will be a large cavity. Apply pressure to the exit wound too. If it's a large wound, you'll need to make sure that air doesn't get sucked in. This could cause a lung to collapse. Try to fill the wound with gauze or bandages, then find tape or something that can make a solid seal around the wound to keep air out. Step 3. Call for help.
Didn't know that. That's another good point. Makes a lot of sense too. So on the exit wound, make sure you get some stuff in there so the air doesn't get in, because that can cause a possible lung collapse.
After the shooting, you should immediately call for assistance. Getting an ambulance on site as soon as possible is critical to surviving a bullet wound. After being shot, if a patient can make it to an emergency room in the next 60 minutes, they are more likely to survive. It's called the golden hour. Step 4. Watch for shock.
The golden hour. Remember that. Make sure you get the ambulance there.
Shock usually occurs when blood has been lost. This can happen if there isn't enough pressure applied to the entry or exit wounds. Going into shock can cause loss of consciousness. If the bullet wound's position allows it, lie down and try to elevate your legs. Loosen any tight-fitting clothes or belts and try to stay warm. If you're helping someone else who's been shot, watch for warning signs like pale and clammy skin, dizziness, and rapid breathing. Put your coat or sweater on the person. Step 5. Prevent infection.
Didn't know that either. Okay. So going in shock, make sure, if you can, make sure their legs are elevated. I'm sure that has something to do with blood flow. Make sure they're warm.
Usually you wouldn't remove the bandage because taking it off can tear open the wound. But again, if you can't call for help or you're in a disaster situation where medics can't get to you, try to make sure the wound is clean. If the wound isn't dressed correctly or redressed after some time, you run the risk of getting an infection. This can cause many complications. Step 6. Rest. When you're shot, your body has a lot to cope with. Rest and allow your body to recuperate and repair itself. Being shot can be a terrifying experience, and you might not look at life the same way afterwards. But it is possible to survive a bullet wound if you act quickly, safely, and effectively. But what if the danger isn't a gun? What if you're near an exploding grenade? Would a grenade cause more damage than a bullet? There's no need to hunker down. We have all that information ready for you.
Yeah, I don't think we gonna be needing a grenade. You know, we regular civilians. But hey man, it's another video on Swear G Don, aka got a lot of guns, aka got a lot of kicks signing out with another video. Bro, hope y'all gained some knowledge from that video. Hope y'all was able to help somebody, or y'all gained something knowledgeable from that. So if you're ever in that situation, I pray that nobody ever is. But if you are, you can be prepared because what? Proper preparation, y'all know the rest. Bro. Peace to the Middle East. I'm about to go eat some tacos. Tacos and burritos.